Hello, friends of Emmanuel. It's Angie, and it is Wednesday, so it's a time for another devotion together. We are going to start with a prayer, and I want you to think about perspective. And when I came up with this idea for our prayer today, I was sitting inside and feeling a little bit down about how this weather, we can't seem to turn the corner to some really nice spring weather. But then I changed my perspective a little bit and I realized if I throw on a sweater, it is actually pretty nice outside. So I threw on a sweater and I'm sitting out here and I'm noticing all of the things that I can see and hear and even smell that are giving me pause and helping me to realize that there's a lot of really beautiful things happening in God's creation around outside of us that I should be thankful for. So I invite you right now, if it's convenient for you, to take a step outside, throw on a sweater, take a step outside, and engage your senses in looking around you. What do you see? What do you hear? What can you feel? What can you touch? What can you smell? That can guide you in some prayer, some thanks to God for all of those things that are happening outside around us right now. If it's not a convenient time to do that, then you can just keep on listening to the rest of this devotion and keep that idea for another time. But if it is convenient, I invite you to pause the video, take a step outside, and do the prayer activity. All right, back to our devotion. So perspective, this is a common visual people use when they talk about perspective. A glass of water. Now some people, depending on your perspective, some people might see this and think it's halfway to empty. And other people see it and say, wow, it's still half full. That's perspective. And our perspective really shapes the way we act. It shapes the way we interact with other people. So it's important to keep a positive perspective. I'm going to read to you from Romans 8 verses, I'm going to start with verse 18, and I want you to think about what we're hearing about perspective in this verse. I am sure that what we are suffering now cannot compare with the glory that will be shown to us. In fact, all creation is eagerly waiting for God to show who his children are. Meanwhile, creation is confused, but not because it wants to be confused. God made it this way in the hope that creation would be set free from decay and would share in the glorious freedom of his children. We know that all creation is still groaning and is in pain. The Spirit makes us sure about what we will need in the future, but now we groan silently while we wait for God to show that we are his children. This means that our bodies will also be set free, and this hope is what saves us. But if we already have what we hope for, there is no need to keep on hoping. However, we hope for something we have not seen yet, and we patiently wait for it. In certain ways, we are weak, but the Spirit is here to help us. For example, when we don't know what to pray for, the Spirit prays for us in ways that we cannot put into words. All of our thoughts are known to God. He can understand what is in the mind of the Spirit, as the Spirit prays for God's people. We know that God is always at work for the good of everyone who loves him. They are the ones God has chosen for his purpose, and he has always known who his chosen ones would be. So we can probably all think of some people who live their lives with an awesome perspective. They see the bright side of things. Those types of people tend to be people who say things like, I can do this, I will do this, or I can't do this quite yet, but if I change this, then I will be able to. They have that real positive thinking. People who struggle with this are the people who tend to say things like, I can't, I won't, I'll never be able to, why does this always happen to me? And some of those kind of negative sentence stems are in their brain. Those people with the positive perspective have probably had a lot of practice and a lot of training in how to look on the bright side. And that has carried over to so many areas of their lives. And when we think about those people and we ask them about how they keep that positive perspective, I bet you a lot of them would mention God in their response. And they would talk about how they know that what really matters is not all of these little things that can get us down in our daily lives, but the big thing, which is that they know they have an awesome reward of life eternal in heaven. So what do all these little things really matter? That can be a big shift in thinking. So my invitation to you this week is to think about the little ways you can change your perspective. The little tiny things that happen each day that you don't want to let get you down. For example, you're working on your homework and your pencil breaks. Instead of doing the woe is me, why does this always happen to me right when I'm in the middle of my work? I broke 3 pencils this week during working on my math. Instead, change your perspective and say, wow, I'm working super hard here. How lucky am I that I can just open my desk drawer and I've got like 10 more writing utensils ready to grab and get back to work? Or how easy is this that I can just sharpen and get right back to work? That's just a shift in thinking. Those little shifts in thinking, though, can translate to more positive thinking about yourself, and which leads to you being willing to tackle bigger and better things. It also, more importantly, can change how you interact with the people around you. So think about those little things and how you can change your perspective and see how they trickle into bigger and bigger things. Have a great week.